Hello, my name is Raffi Saputra, and today I'm going to be discussing about the second experiment of the MOM lab, which is the impact test. So for the first part of the presentation, there's an introduction where I'm going to be introducing the types of impact test, the definition of impact test, and why is it beneficial for us to do impact test. The second thing is that we're going to be discussing about the data that is retrieved from the experiment. The third is I'm going to be discussing on how to process this data that we get from the experiment, and the last one is to discuss the lab reports questions that have been given by the module. So we're moving on to the introduction part of the presentation. Here I'm going to be explaining about the purpose of impact test and the types of impact test there are. So the purpose of impact test is to determine several material properties, such as the energy absorbed during rapid fracture, indicating toughness, differentiating between brittle and ductile materials. It also helps to determine the failure limits of materials, which help engineers to understand material strength, endurance, and fracture rates better. So there are two types of impact test, which is Sharpie and ISOT. ISOT test usually uses a smaller pendulum, and it is best for brittle materials such as ceramics and PLA, while Sharpie test uses a heavier pendulum and is ideal for ductile materials such as metals. So this makes sense because ideally more ductile materials are able to absorb more energy, therefore they use heavier pendulum and uses Sharpie test instead of ISOT test. So there are three data that is being retrieved during the impact test experiment. First data is the dimensions of the specimen, which is made by following the D256 and E23 ASTM. This data is obtained by measuring the specimen using vernier caliper and ruler. The second data is the recording of the impact test. So from these recordings, initial and final angle of the pendulum, which is used during the impact test, can be calculated. Therefore, we can calculate the energy absorbed by the material. The third data that we retrieve from the impact test is the images of the fracture surface. These images aim to analyze the differences of post-impact surfaces area between each material. This can decide whether material is brittle or ductile. So we move on to the data processing part of the presentation. In this section, I'm going to be discussing on how to process the data that we retrieve from the experiment. So first of all, we can get the dimensions of the three specimens used in impact test. To obtain this, we just need to measure the three specimens' length, thickness, width, and notch depth using vernier caliper or ruler. And after that, we can just fill in the table that is being given by the module. Okay, so we're moving on to the part on how to process impact test videos. So after recording each experiment with the phone camera, we need to process those recordings to get the initial and final angle of the pendulum swing. We can do that by selecting a video player that can play MP4 videos frame per frame so that we can get the right timing of the initial and final pendulum swing. And after we get that, pause the video at the pendulum's initial and rising of the first swing, and use on-screen protractor to retrieve the initial and final angle, as can be seen from the picture. After getting the initial and rising angle of the pendulum swing, we may now calculate the energy absorbed by the experiment due to the pendulum swing. So we can quantify the energy of the pendulum swing using the potential energy formula MGH. Moreover, we can calculate the energy absorbed by the specimen using conservation of energy law, which is W equals MGH initial minus MGH final. So here we can use the angle that we get earlier to calculate the height of the pendulum from the ground using the trigonometry, which is sine theta times the length of the pendulum. After the energy impact calculation that we do has been done, we may compare our calculation using the one that is from the internet to get better results. So here's the values of the energy absorption within the three specimens. First of all is PLA. So PLA is able to absorb around 0.16 joule of energy, which is around 5.84% of the initial energy impact. HDPE, in the other hand, is able to absorb around 0.64 joules of energy, which is around 23.4% of the initial impact. And lastly, we have aluminum, which can absorb around 17.9 joules and is able to absorb, that is around 35.82% of the initial impact. So we move on to the process on how to retrieve the surface area of fracture using microscope. First of all is to prepare the specimen and ensure that the fracture surfaces of the specimen are clean and free of any contaminants. Second of all is to adjust the microscope to the required magnification, usually between 50 to 500 magnification. And lastly is to ensure proper lighting which can help us to see the specimen better. So after viewing the materials using microscope, we are left with the fracture surface area of a specimen. First of all is PLA and HDPE. There can be seen that there is no grain structures or blur spots, meaning that the cut is clean and without any difference in depth, and with crystalline and bright areas indicating its brittle nature. Additionally, there's no visible plastic deformation present in the image. So for the aluminum, the material shows grain structures and blurred areas indicating that there is change in depth, alongside with the fibrous and dull regions that reveals the necking deformation. Also, there's evidence of lateral expansion when the materials spreads out to the sides before it fractures. So we're moving on to the discussion part of the presentation, where I'm going to be discussing about the necessity of notch as part of the notch analysis. So the notch in impact test specimen helps to concentrate stress which initiate fractures at a specific point. This ensures predictable location of fracture and consistent test results. It also reveals material behavior, distinguishing between ductile and brittle materials, and also this enables accurate toughness measurement since the max stress is pointed at the notch. So it focuses energy absorption at one fracture point. So in the next part of the notch analysis, I'm going to be discussing on how the sharpness of the notch can determine the result of the impact test experiment. So with sharper notch, the specimen may experience higher stress concentration, which lead to faster crack initiation. And the material may experience low energy absorption due to the less area and sharp edges which embedded to the specimen that can make the material appear more brittle even though it's ductile. Also, quicker fracture with minimal plastic deformation will occur. On the other hand, the blunter notch will affect the material's stress concentration to be lower, which slow the crack initiation that happened to the specimen. Also, may create a higher energy absorption, which create an illusion of more ductile behavior since there's a fillet area which create a low stress concentration. Lastly is greater plastic deformation and necking will occur before the fracture. So we're moving on to the next part, where I'm going to be explaining on why an impact test can be used to measure the absorbed energy by a specimen. So impact test is mainly used since it is capable of obtaining several important properties such as the material toughness, material impact energy absorption, and it's using a proven energy calculation, which is potential energy formula (MGH), in order to measure the impact absorbed by the specimen. It also can determine the material's behavior, so you can get the results whether the material is brittle or ductile. However, impact test has several limitations, such as the specimen dimension and notch dimension can be inconsistent from time to time. There's also energy losses due to the machine friction or air resistance that may go unnoticed. And lastly, it may not replicate the real world conditions such as multi-axial stresses or long-term fatigue. So we're moving on to the last part of the discussion, where I'm going to be explaining the real-life applications of impact tests. So impact testing has real-world applications in industries where safety and durability are critical. For example, automotive parts such as bumpers and crumble zones are designed to absorb high-impact forces during crashes, which help to protect the passengers. Similarly, materials used in helmets and other PPE are engineered to absorb and dissipate impact energy, reducing the risk of injuries in accident or falls. These tests ensure that the materials perform reliably in critical situations using impact tests. So that's it from me. Thank you.